Good evening and hello world, I'm Miyah and I would like to welcome you to the latest episode of my vlog series. So far I have been able to share my own experiences on what it's like for me to live with Asperger's syndrome. A second thing that I will do is give my 2 cents on what's been going on with autism in the media. A third area entails providing tips and advice for those of you that are on the spectrum. I also reach out to friends, family members, peers, mentors, educators, employers, professionals, and caregivers, and anybody in the community. And I also will cover topics on occasion that are not autism related on things that I'm passionate about. But before I do that, I would like to mention a few things. So number 1, please be sure to click up here in the upper right hand corner. This is the TED Talk by Rosie King, and it's called How Autism Allowed Myself to Be Free, or How Autism Freed Me to Be Myself. I also would like to recommend that you check out my scholarly and practical application type blogs on Wordpress.com. And you can find those under helloworld240.wordpress.com. That's helloworld240.wordpress.com. And I also wanted to mention that I'm going to be at a couple of conferences. So the first one coming up will be on April 21st, 2017. And the name of that talk is on steps to becoming independent. And you can find me up at Chattanooga at the Chattanooga Autism Conference. And if you want more information, please be sure to click on that link below. And the second autism conference that I will be seen at is the Autism Conference and Exposition of Georgia, May 3rd and 4th. And I would like you guys to know that I will be doing a couple of presentations there. So please be sure to learn more about that and be sure to register. Now, what I would like to do is, first of all, mention that I'm having to redo my video blog, The Grass is Not So Green on the Other Side of the Fence, because A, I'm going to be sharing this video, and especially at the Chattanooga conference, and B, the other video is just really low quality, and so I want something a little more professional. So, to recap to you guys that watch my vlogs, I wanted to let those of you know, and those of you to remember, that there was a time in my life when I was in my 20s, and I was about 20 years old, and for the last couple of years, I had been fighting to not live up to the standards of these special education teachers and all of these other so-called experts, stating that I needed to be in a group home, and I needed to be under a guardianship, and I needed to be on Social Security, and I can't have a normal life. I can't have a regular job. The only thing I can do is janitorial work. I can't go to college. So my objective was to fight for my rights to live on my own, because I didn't think it was fair, and I did not want to be like everybody else who I was in special education with. Something inside told me, no, Miyah, you've got to prove them wrong. However, I also lived in a fantasy world, and I had a know-it-all attitude, and I told everybody, yeah, I can do it. I can live out on my own. I can pay my own bills. I can do this. I can do that. And so my mother and I did some looking around, and I ended up finding some places to live in the classifieds of a local Minneapolis St. Paul newspaper. And as I was looking through them, I found one place that had 2 girls living there. And so I called them, and they called me back, and I went over there, and I thought that things were going to be peachy and things were going to be all right, and this roommate and I were going to get along really well. And my mom was hoping that these 2 women would mentor me. And I also expected that these 2 girls were going to be like my best friends, and that we were going to live like the girls in the 2000 version of the movie Charlie's Angels with Drew Barrymore and Cameron Diaz and Lucy Liu. And when I moved in there, I found out that I was wrong, because first of all, I learned that I had to take responsibilities. Suddenly, I had to mow the lawn. Suddenly, I had to wash my own dishes. Suddenly, I had to help with chores. Suddenly, I had to manage a budget. Suddenly, I had to hold on to a job. And suddenly, I learned that my roommates weren't going to put up with my behavior, that is, by sitting around and watching TV. And they learned very quickly, too, that I had some quirks about myself, such as, yes, I talk to myself, and no, I do not take medication for that because I do not hear voices. And I do not see things. but rather I talk to myself because I think out loud. And they thought I was crazy. Another thing I learned too is that these girls had been on their own and they were pretty experienced, but they weren't really willing to take me under their wing and teach a 20-year-old what to do. That was sort of expected out of me. And other things that I learned is that the world is not so nice. And I mean, I had some nasty run-ons with some pretty ugly people. And I'm not talking about looks. I'm talking about people that had ugly attitudes towards me. So those are some things I had to face. I ended up getting myself into debt because I didn't know how to control my money. And I also, again, had very poor social skills, along with also emotionally behaving more like a 14-year-old than a 20-year-old. And so my roommate saw that as a rebellious teenager, but they did not respond appropriately. In fact, they were very inappropriate, and they just made me feel very uncomfortable. But anyway, I'm out of time. If you have any questions or comments on what I've just talked about, please be sure to post, and also do not forget to subscribe. And also look for my video blogs on Mondays. I was going to do Sunday, but it's better for me to post them on Monday. Until next time, I'm Miyah Sundermeyer, and I'm signing off. Bye.